Bist.
Hello again. Thanks for joining.
Guardian Angels Part 2.
Guardian Angels Part 2. So, it would be good if you've not watched Part 1, please watch that one because you'll follow along better with it. I was giving a brief history of a few experiences that I'm grateful for, that God's provision in keeping me from harm. There was another interesting one happened. I was leaving work, travelling back on my bicycle, and it's a journey to my dad's property that was about 20-25 minutes. And I was on the way back and the bicycle chain snapped and I went over the handlebars, lost control of the bicycle and finished up on the pavement. Well, the interesting thing that I found as I reflected on this story is that I came off directly outside the headquarters for the police of Leicestershire, their main headquarters. And if I'd have been another half minute that way, or even 15 seconds, 10 seconds, or that way, I would have just had to get up. My trousers were ripped, there was blood on my knees, and I'd have somehow got back, as I say, but in this case, literally I came off and within seconds there was literally a police car sitting there ready for the light to change, the traffic light, and he was sitting waiting. I came off, fell down. They came straight out within seconds, asked how I was, and they insisted on taking me home. They put the bike in the back of the police car and dropped me back home. Now, the police, funnily enough, me and Lee were just talking about the police in reflecting on different things. And they're not the flavour of the month, should we say, nowadays. But I reflect on that and I look back and there are some kindly, at least in the past, police people. So, but the point, incredible, it snapped at the very best place it could possibly have happened in that 25-minute journey. And one could say, well, coincidence, or you could say there's an angel on assignment. Just read a couple of scripture verses. There's a good one in Psalm 91. 11 and 12. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways, and they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. And I came across a really interesting scripture verse in the book of Acts, the New Testament, and the reason for bringing this particular set of scriptures up, I want to read the portion because it highlights a very interesting thing I discovered on angelic beings, whether they're a good angel serving God or they're a fallen angel about the devil's business. I discovered that the fallen angels haven't necessarily lost their abilities to do certain things. Now, I'll read you this portion from the book of Acts, chapter 12. And it's simply about the Apostle Peter was arrested and put in prison. And at a certain point, he was going to be taken out and tried. Well, here's Peter in jail, bound with chains, with one keeper on one side of him and one on the other. And it says that, behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison, and he smote Peter on his side, And he raised him up, saying, "Now arise up quickly." And his chains fell off his hands. And the angel said unto him, "Right, gird yourself, bind on your sandals." And so he did. And he says to him, "Cast your garment about you and follow me." And he went out and followed him, and he didn't know it was true, which was done to him by the angel, but thought it was a vision. Anyway, when they were past the first and the second ward, they came unto the iron gate that leads unto the city, which opened to them of his own accord. And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. So here you've got a situation. The angel has come to rescue the Apostle Peter, bring him out of prison. Now, the things Peter couldn't do, removing the chains, dealing with the iron gate, the angel did. But the things Peter could do, put your shoes on. I'm not going to put them on for you. You put your cloak on. You can do that. You put your cloak on. Come on, gird yourself. Get yourself ready now. Come on, follow me. Peter did. But one thing I really found greatly interesting, if you contrast looking at some of the UFO phenomena of alien abductions, what you normally find is, I'm not saying I believe these are actual aliens. I tend to think this is a delusion myself. That's my personal point of view, that it is the fallen ones could be well behind that type of thing. But here's the point. Under an alien abduction, the person is in bed, more than likely with their loved one, husband or wife, depending on who it is. And the person awakes to see a small grey standing over them, looking at them intently with deep eyes of almost hypnotic state. And the person wants to scream, but they're paralysed and can't. They want to shout out, but they can't. And their husband or wife is asleep, totally oblivious to what's going on. They've been, as it were, switched off. And then the person is levitated and comes out without the windows being open, usually through a window or a wall. So now, my point in getting that across is contrast that with this good angel who's entered in to the prison. He's switched off exactly the same. The keepers, these people were put to death, by the way, under Roman situations if their prisoners escaped. They took it extremely seriously, but they're switched off exactly the same as in the alien abductions. And I just thought that was a good contrast to make. And I'm going to get back to Lee now to share some of his thoughts on guardian angels.
Well, interesting. But as far as the alien hypothesis is concerned, I mean, when I was a teenager and in my 20s and 30s and 40s, really, I bought a lot of UFO books. Yeah. Because I just thought it was interesting. I neither believed it nor disbelieved it. But I did like reading about different things that happened. It was just light entertainment. Yeah. But as I've become more into my faith and started thinking about it a bit more, and I don't expect anybody to agree with me or side with me, but I don't think it's these are physical beings. I don't think they come here in nuts and bolts craft. Yeah. I think it's a spiritual thing, and I think it's part of the deception. Yeah, I do. I say other people think differently. They might think them grey drones from Zeta Reticuli or wherever they come from. I think them satanic in nature. Yeah. For what purpose, I honestly can't say. But that's a change in me. At the one time, I was prepared to entertain the idea. And I probably still am, I am completely closed-minded. But as I've started to get older, I've realised it's more of this is a spiritual phenomenon rather than a nuts and bolts.
With a view of deception, really.
Yeah, deception. Yeah.
Deception. Can you think, Lee, offhand, of any experiences of being preserved or saved from danger or harm, or anything that comes to mind?
I can think of a lot of instances where I've been saved from danger, but again, it's a question of whether you believe it's just pure coincidence or luck or chance or what. But the thing that's happened most recently, and it's nothing to do with it being in danger, it just happened, and I haven't been able to understand it really exactly what it was. But when I moved into that flat, the one I usually do all my videos at, that was my fresh start, as you know. I've been through enough. I'd had the you know what, and I'd gone through the divorce, and I needed to reassess my life, live my life in a different and more optimistic way, come out my shell more and start living. And that was my green light, that was all my, the gates was open for me to go into my future and old age by changing the way I lived. And that flat was part of it, part of my independence. And I was so thankful and grateful when I moved in there. And I'd been in about 3 days, 4 days, less than a week. And I sat down, I got my settee, I managed to put that together. I've got 2 settees, but I did one of them. And I sat on it with the sun going down. This is in the August. And I just sat there in peace and quiet. And just to my right shoulder, just behind me, a pinprick of light appeared, and it wasn't reflections through the little glass things above the door. So it wasn't a car in the street turning around, it wasn't somebody, because I'm on the 3rd floor, it wasn't somebody shining a laser down into my room. This room was dark and isolated, and it was a pinprick of light that was actually, it was there. It wasn't an illusion, it wasn't a reflection. And I know it was there because it was casting shadows. You know, I could see my own shadow being cast across the room to where my fire grate is and where my telly was off. But it was definitely there. It was very bright, like a very, very intense pinprick of light, and it lasted a few seconds. And as I turned around and thought, what on earth's that? That's when it went, but I saw it fade and disappear. And I haven't been able to explain that. I don't know what it was. I don't think it was a mental or visual anomaly to do with my physiology, because otherwise it wouldn't have cast shadows, unless somehow my psyche had projected that image onto it for me to process. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm saying it was real.
Yes.
So, but
absolutely.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think I've had countless motorbike accidents, but I think I've just been lucky.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting for those viewing it. I'm sure many of you will have had some unusual incidents where you have survived and lived to tell the tale, whatever it is. Another set of talks for a future time I want to do on things that go bump in the night, because there's some incredible things I've experienced as someone who absolutely is a believer in the supernatural, in the living God, in fallen angels, in good angels, in spiritual experiences, and there's some really strange stuff, and but that's previews of coming attractions for the future.
Yeah, we'll do that
another time.
Okay then.
So God bless you all.
God bless. God bless.
Bye bye.